Hey there, my name is Kristi, and I'm super excited that you're here today. It's not only Wanderpreneurs' 5-year anniversary, but I have prepared something pretty special that I'm really passionate about. And to be completely honest with you, yesterday I tried recording this video about a dozen different times, and I finally just said, you know what, today's not the day. I'm going to come back and try it again. So here we are. And the reason I guess I was just so nervous yesterday is because I am so passionate about what I am teaching. And I know that there's a lot of families out there that are struggling right now because of the whole COVID-19 and the crisis going on, with all the unemployments that have just happened, with all the businesses being closed and everything else like that. And I know for a fact that even whenever I went through a financial hardship back in 2017, it took a while to get back on my feet. And I am lucky that I didn't have kids and that I didn't have all kinds of different, I mean, I had bills, don't get me wrong, and I had debts too, but I didn't have as much as a family would have had. So I'm lucky in that sense, but I want to make sure that this is the best possible video that I can put out there. And yeah, because I'm not selling you on anything. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not a marketing agency. I am not a network marketer, and I'm not a salesperson. I actually hate sales. I know businesses need it. However, I hate being in that position because that is so not me. I am a teacher at heart, and I want to be able to teach you everything that I know about having a strong financial foundation and being prepared, especially with risk management, not only in your business, but in your personal life too. In this video, I want you to be able to watch it with your kids and teach your kids how to do this. I want you to be able to watch it with your significant other or your parents or whatever, and really help change this big gap in the wealth in the finance industry that we're all in. We all have a bank account. We all have money. We need money. So we're all in this industry together. And I want to be able to really change the stats and really help people get off the ground and to get ahead of inflation and get ahead in life and actually wander more through their dream life, because that's what being a wanderpreneur is all about. So please hang in there. This could be a long video. I'm not sure, but I'm going to make sure I explain everything and that nothing is left out. And if you have questions, reach out to me, leave a comment below this video, and I will get back to you. But whatever you do, like, just watch it, and please take something that you learn, share it with someone else, because maybe they don't know it. And if you know anyone that would benefit from this video, get it in their hands, because it's free. I don't care about getting your email address. I don't care about making money off of it. I care about you and your family making money and having a legacy and not living paycheck to paycheck. That's what I care about. I care about you being able to provide for yourself, for you to be able to wake up and not feel stressed out. And my intentions are, by the end of this video, that you're not stressed out, that you're not overwhelmed, that you're not confused or completely blindsided with the financial industry. My intentions are also that you stop wondering and hoping and wishing for your dreams to come true. Instead, I want you to be able to go out there and wander through your dream life and be a wanderpreneur, which has been my 5-year mission, really my whole life mission, but we'll get into that. Is to help you. Like, I really want to see you go live out your dream life. So welcome. There's my little intro. That's not how I planned it yesterday. It feels so much better just go ahead and saying what I want to say. Yeah, so let's get started. So what is a wanderpreneur? So if you're just now coming in and you don't even know what a wanderpreneur is, you know that that's my business name, but maybe you don't know anything about it. A wanderpreneur is a person who no longer wonders or wishes for their dreams to come into existence. They're wandering through their dream life each and every day. It doesn't matter if you're traveling the world or hanging out in your own backyard. It only matters that you're going in the direction of your dreams. And during this time period, it matters so much more, because I don't want you to give up. I want you to believe in yourself and continue going. I don't care if you're taking huge leaps and just exploding with so much success, or if you're getting knocked down and as long as you keep getting back up, you're still moving, right? Because being in limbo is the absolute worst place to be. And I know that from experience. So that's what being a wanderpreneur is. It's somebody that's going out there and wandering in the direction of their dreams, no matter what their dreams are, no matter where they're at, no matter if they trip and fall on something in their way, or if somebody blocks them, or if life just completely throws a curveball at them. It's still about going in that direction and not giving up, because you're going to get there. You're going to get closer and closer, and your dreams are going to only get bigger and bigger, and you're going to achieve them. I believe in you, and I want you to believe in yourself too. So that's what being a wanderpreneur is all about. And here at Wanderpreneur, we teach entrepreneurship and finances. Okay, so we teach anything involving money. So making money, managing money, investing money, we're all about that, because we know that you have to have money in order to live out your dreams. You don't necessarily need money to live. Well, you do, but you don't, because we know that there are people that live without money. But you definitely do have to have money and a system in place, and security, and all those things that money is the root of. You have to be able to have those and be secure. That way so much more can happen, because yes, money is evil, some people could say, but really it's not. Okay, because everything is positive and negative. It's just like science, and I'm going to get into that and really explain this and try to do it in every way possible. That way it will not sound like a foreign language to you if you have never studied finances or accounting or business or anything like that. So our goal at Wanderpreneur is to help others create a new reality where their dreams exist. And this has actually been my own personal dream since I was a little girl. I used to want to be a fairy godmother, and the whole reason I wanted to be one is so I could help make dreams come true. And I feel like with Wanderpreneur, I get to do that each and every day now, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And yeah, so as you can tell, I'm passionate already. And again, we like teaching wealth because everybody needs it, and it's not out there. And because 70% of the US population has less than $1,000 combined in their checking and savings, 70%. Doesn't matter if you're the young generation or the old generation, you are most likely 1 in 10 people, or yeah, not one, 7 in 10 people have nothing in their accounts. And worse than that, 3 out of 10 have no emergency fund, resources, or retirement. So if something bad happens, whether they lose their job or their business has to shut down because of COVID-19 right now, or a divorce happens, or they lose a family member, or anything happens, their car could break down, they have no way to recover right now, and that is scary. And this is why we're here, because it's important to know how to build your cash flow and your net worth, and also how to manage it, because really we should want to build these things and scale it to fund our dreams. But first we need to teach you how to just manage what you need and what you want, and making sure that if something were to happen to you, your family can survive without you, or if something were to happen to you and you can't get up and go work anymore, that you're going to be able to survive during that time off, right? So before we can even start funding our dreams, we must fund our needs and our wants first. And yeah, and then we get to do the big dreams. So for those of you that don't know me, here's a little background on me. I'm not going to talk about everything, but I've been in the online industry since 2012. This business was formed back in 2015. I have done international business also since 2017. Yeah. I have a BBA in business management with a concentration in entrepreneurial studies. I've done business plan competitions, also like being the person in it and winning the contest, as well as being a business plan judge for a few years. I've been in a best time selling book. I have done all kinds of different business models. I've helped a company with something that they were patenting. I've helped a brick and mortar business. I've helped tons of other service-based industries. I've had multiple streams of incomes ever since I can remember. Yeah, so that's kind of like my professional side. As my personal side, this is my boyfriend, Brentley. We love traveling. We love being out on a boat. We're totally lake people, island people. That's totally our vibe. We've both been divorced. In high school, I had the IRS wipe my bank account to zero. And if anyone knows what that's like, I know it's hard, and I'm lucky that I was only a kid and I wasn't an adult. So I know what that's like. I spent 2 years in special ed. So if you hear me mess up on something, just know that sometimes I still mess up because I am human. What else can I say? I have a brother and a sister. I'm the oldest. I'm not the first entrepreneur in my family. We have many on both sides. I'm lucky because I just grew up thinking that that was normal. And I even lived in my kitchen floor. No, yeah, well, I had my bed in my kitchen, but I lived in the kitchen for 3 months with Brentley in our fixer-upper house and did a lot of other crazy, non-normal things in my life. But that's just because I'm not about being traditional and doing what obviously doesn't work. I like testing things out. I like taking risks, and I like learning from experiences. So the overview of this is we're going to talk about Murphy's Law, just to refresh everyone's memory on that. We're going to talk about the history of money, the history of Wanderpreneurs, spending and investing, how the economy has no secrets if you really study it. Bridging the gap, we're going to talk about the business models, 6 steps to financial freedom. So that's something for you to do that you can get off and go do right now. And then if you are interested in working with us, you totally can. We're going to get into that later because believe it or not, we're a free service. Well, some of our stuff, the things that I'm teaching in here, like this is free for you today. I'm going to tell you about 2 other free resources that we have because again, I really want to fix these stats and I want to help as many people as possible, especially during this downfall, because it's kind of like a big wake-up call. And I know a lot of people are not thinking that this is the best and having this kind of change. However, I think that this is going to bring families back together because it's going to teach you again on why family is important and why friendships are important, and get people out of like their whole robot lifestyle and really start being a wanderpreneur and starting to do that. I think it's going to teach businesses about how much money they're spending, as well as families about how much money they're spending. And I think everyone's profit is going to grow from this just by what they have right now, because they're going to look over things and realize that they're spending money on things that they shouldn't be spending money on, or they could be saving costs, especially companies right now with everyone learning to work from home. This could potentially save tons of money on overhead. I also think that like your kids get to be at home with you and actually make memories with you right now. Do you know how many parents work all the time and don't ever get this time to be with their kids? Like, I think that's incredible, because growing up, I was lucky to have that. And some of my favorite memories were building forts in the living room, going camping in the backyard, going fishing with my dad, doing things with my mom and my grandparents and stuff like that. So I think that's awesome for kids too. And I think it's going to really show the finance side and make people realize that, wow, they have no financial foundation. And this is why it's important to learn these things. So that's why I'm so thrilled that everyone's here. And I'm kind of nervous in the sense, not because I don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't want to miss anything and I don't want to mislead anyone and I don't want to confuse anyone if they are stuck. And so I'm going to do my best that I can to explain everything. I even made phone calls to some friends to kind of go over some of the material, which is on the next slide. I'm going to go over some definitions, just because I want to make sure that literally I'm doing the best I can, because sometimes as a teacher, it becomes just common sense to you. It becomes your language. It becomes the way you just do everything, and you just think that everyone else knows what you know. And I'm hoping that I'm speaking from ground level to all the people watching this, because this is big and I'm so passionate about it. So let's go over the definitions. So the definitions: entrepreneurship, this is my favorite one to talk about. Well, I should say actually my second favorite. We'll get to my favorite in a minute. But it's the process of discovering new ways of combining resources to make a profit. So being an entrepreneur does not necessarily mean that you are a business owner that's downtown or online or whatever. That does not necessarily mean you are an entrepreneur, because I have met business owners that don't have an entrepreneurial mindset. So there are 2 different kinds, right? So being an entrepreneur and combining resources to make a profit, that is something that I think with COVID-19, it's going to bring back what we used to have in the past. So if we study history, in the past, entrepreneurs were around because this was something that everyone did. Now it's like instant gratification and we don't have to worry about whatever. But think about it. If you have something and you're going to make something, that's being an entrepreneur. If you have something laying around your house that you're going to go sell to make a profit, that's still being an entrepreneur, even though you used it. So if you've had a garage sale before, that's that is entrepreneurial. If you've made something like a birdhouse and sold it, that's entrepreneurial. If you're babysitting, entrepreneurial, that kind of stuff. So you can still have a job and be an entrepreneur. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the full-on business. So I just want to clarify on that. Find this one, the ability to understand and properly apply your financial management skills. This is major, okay? So this is why we're all messed up right now, because we don't have our financial management skills set in stone because no one taught us this in the school system, and we're only learning on the American dream that we were all told on. So we're going to get into that. Bootstrapping. This one is my favorite, absolute freaking favorite. This is to get oneself into something or out of something using existing resources, okay? So this is still entrepreneurial. You can be a bootstrapper entrepreneur, but this is being like super freaking savvy on it. So me starting my business from day one, I was bootstrapping. I learned how to build my website. I learned about coding. I learned about Facebook ads. I learned about sales funnels. I learned about the whole systems in place on what I needed to do for free by doing all the extra work behind it and failing a few times and having to tweak things. And sometimes I would have to hire someone just to have a conference with me, like a business consultant or something like that, to be like, okay, I'm trying to do this. Can you help me out? But I taught myself because I'm a believer that if you're going to be successful in business, you really do have to be an entrepreneur, because when a situation like this COVID-19 thing hits, you need to be able to know every area of your business, because people are going to leave you. You're going to have to get rid of people if you don't have business solutions in place that can help pay for them during this time, all kinds of stuff. So I'm a big believer that you have to know all areas if you're going to make it, because anything is possible, right? So innovation. This is one of also my favorite ones, because this is something that Wanderpreneur is. And it's making changes to something established, introducing new methods, ideas, and products. So my example for the generation of me and my parents would be like Blockbuster, okay? So you used to have to go into the store, go buy your movies, or not buy, but rent, and then go back home and watch them and then come and return them, right? And then Netflix came along, and now we just use our remote control or the Xbox remote, whatever, and click on whatever movie we want, and we don't have to go anywhere. So Netflix was innovative enough to do that. Another example for the younger generation would be like TikTok right now, right? So TikTok is new. It's the whole video thing. It has the hashtags, just like it has the hashtags like Instagram that went big. It has the videos, like all the stories that people post in already, and you can still have followers, all that. So it's just another form of Facebook, but it's being innovative and it's working. It's actually the most, I want to say they are worth more at this point in the market, like at this stage of their business, than Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all that was. And actually Pinterest is not doing that well financially. But that's a whole other thing. Assets. Everything you own represents a value of ownership that can be converted into cash. So even if you are a child, you have assets, okay? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the cash in your bank. So even if you only have $100 in your bank account or $100,000 in your bank account, whatever, you still have other assets. Assets are the couch, the TV that you own. Anything you own is an asset. It's not liquid, and liquid means that it's already in cash form and you can go spend it right now. You don't have to wait to sell it or convert it, but you can still have other ownership items. So that's what an asset is. Tangible. This is something you can see and touch. Again, like a car, couch, or house. Intangible is invisible, but it still has a value. So Nike, for example, their trademark, their brand name, those are an intangible asset, because if I were to go buy Nike, I would be paying for that well-established brand where everybody just knows that that swoosh is Nike. A customer list too. So if you're selling a small business and you have a whole list of leads, like you have made your email list and you have, let's say, 10,000 different people on it, well, that list is valuable because that person buying that business doesn't have to worry about a whole client list, or a veterinarian selling their practice to another vet. They're adopting all these new clients as long as they come back, right? Another example would be for someone that has a job that is not having a business, would be your credibility, your integrity, your worth ethic in the business that you have. So if you're trying to get to your dream job and you have to do your resume, what's going to make you stand out? Your references. It's about the people you know sometimes. That's an intangible asset, knowing that the people you have, as well as your own personality and your own worth, is an intangible asset. And so kids, study hard, because that's important. That's invisible, but it's still an asset for you because it's going to help you get to where you need to be, as well as being friendly and not being on electronics all the time and going out there and meeting people and interacting with adults, because one day those adults are going to be able to get you into that job that you want to have. Appreciation. Okay. So this is value over time. It increases. Most likely it should be real estate. In today's age, it's not necessarily always real estate. There are bad real estate investments, and we'll get into that. But it's about increasing over time. So if you bought something today for $1 and you sell it tomorrow, maybe you can make $5, or in a year you can make $10, whatever. But it's about it increasing over time. Assets that appreciate over time are what you want. And then you have a depreciation. So this would be like a new car. So people that go out there to go get that fancy brand new truck that's lifted and looks freaking awesome, and they have that $600 payment a month, and then they hit a financial crisis and their car gets repoed, or they're struggling to make that $600 car payment, that's because they were wrong. They bought a depreciating asset versus an appreciation, right? And so this is something that I notice within my business as a business advisor. You can always tell who the rich ones are and then who the wealthy ones are, because the wealthy ones are going to go out and they're going to go invest in real estate, and they're going to invest in having a home, and they did things right, and you know that they made money because of the criteria it takes to buy a home. And then you see the ones that are like, check out my brand new Bentley or Mercedes or whatever. And those are the ones that it's like, okay, so they don't have their finances in check, but they have a nice car, but they also have a big liability now. Let's see what happens. So we'll get into that too inside Money Matrix, and if we ever talk, but I love talking about money and business and all that kind of stuff. So ROI, this is something I say a lot, and I realize people sometimes don't know what ROI is. That is your return on investment. So that's your gain or your loss. So if you look at your tax returns, whoa, I had a pop up. If you look at your tax returns, and at the bottom where it says like net profit, that would basically be, it says like net profit or net loss. So that would pretty much be your ROI, your return on your investment. Would also be like, you buy business cards. Okay, so let's say you bought a business cards for $100. And you passed them out to your friends that had nothing to do with your specialized service or product. So you didn't make any money. So that would have been a loss. That would have been a loss of $100 because it wasn't a good investment because you didn't do the right things, right? But then you hand out your business cards to people that are in your specialized industry, and some of them call you back, and let's say you make $1,000. Well, your $1,000 is your income minus the $100 expense of your business cards. Your ROI for your business cards is $900. So it was a good investment and something that you'd want to continue, because that's actually a really good ROI. So that's an example of ROI. And also, I'll do this one too. So if you're like in school right now and you put your hard work and your time and everything into it, and you learn these different things, and you're in Money Matrix, for example, and you put the time in, and then you go and you take the action and you implement it later, then you know it was a good ROI on time because you applied it and you got further along with your financial foundation and you are more secured now. So that's another example. your break-even point. This is something that I say to a lot of clients when we're talking about their finances and their business, especially the ones that tell me that they're thinking about filing bankruptcy or they just did on our first initial call, which please don't do, okay? Reach out to me before you ever do that. And your break even is the amount of money and income you have to make in order to pay for those expenses. So if you don't pay for your car payment, it's going to get repoed. If you don't pay for your mortgage, it's going to get foreclosed. If you don't pay for your rent, you're going to get kicked out, right? So this is everything that you have to do right now. And it's important to know, because sometimes we think that we have to make like buku's amount of money, but when we really look back and think about it, we're just terrible at spending. Or I should say we're excellent at spending, because if you're spending everything, that means you're excellent at it and terrible at saving. So multiple streams of incomes. This is having income from several different sources. It does not necessarily mean that you have multiple businesses. It does not necessarily mean that you are selling flowers and chocolate in your one store. It can mean that. It can mean that you have multiple businesses, but it could also be like you're an employee right now, right? So you have your paycheck coming in, and then you have your 401k, and then you're invested in your company stock. So that right there, that's 3 different income streams. Yes, it's all relying on you having your job, but technically it's 3 different ones, because these 2 are also growing, and it is still income over here. So just think of that. And so those are my definitions. So now I can really move on to the good stuff. And we're going to talk about some mindset stuff that we have grown up saying and what we constantly tell our own children. And the teachers even say it. Everybody says it, right? So we always hear debt is bad. We hear you can't make stuff up. You also hear money doesn't grow on trees. And I'm here to prove all of those theories wrong, because in fact, debt is actually good. If you think about it, it's a leverage tool to help others get ahead and increase their net worth over time if they learn how to master it. But if they don't, then yeah, it is bad. And there are good debts and there are bad debts. And that's in a whole nother video inside of Murphy Money Matrix. You can't make stuff up. Yes, you can. Everything around us is made up. Okay, so somebody invented it. And if you can go out there and you can dream it and you can put the pieces together, there is a way to make it possible. Because I'm sure at some point you have thought like, oh, wow, that would be a really great idea. And then someone else does it. Well, if you would have taken the action, you could have made it, but somebody else made it. And then money doesn't grow on trees. This is my favorite one. And one day I'm going to regret it whenever I do have kids or whatever, kids or nieces, nephews are totally going to tell me this one. But if I ever say money doesn't grow on trees, I'm pretty sure my kid would respond with, actually, Mom, it grows on cotton, close enough. Because that's true. Because money does come from the ground and then we go make it. So just to prove all that wrong, it's wrong. It's all opinions. It's all based on past experience and lacking of the education behind it. Now this photo, that's a family probably back in like the 50s or something. And that's when this whole American dream thing became possible after the Great Depression, right? So we were all told, or not me personally, I wasn't around, but we Americans were sold on the American dream. And the American dream was actually made up by the banks, believe it or not. The banks who lend you money, who trapped you because they didn't tell you what you were actually getting into. But they sold you on the brand new house, the brand new car, going out and having clothes, having the layover stuff and all that kind of stuff. So we were all sold on this American dream. And we had just always thought like that's what you do. You grow up, you go buy a new car, you go buy a new house, you have a family, you settle down, and that's it. And you just make money and you pay it to the banks and you pay it to the IRS, and that's just how it goes. And the gap gets bigger and bigger between the middle class and the top 1% until now. And this is Murphy's Law, and I'm sure we've all learned this. My last name is Murphy, so I know about the curse. It's definitely affected me at different times in my life when I have failed at risk management. But Murphy's Law is a fact. Everything I just showed you, that was an opinion, that was based on experience, and that was based on the banks, a business, selling their idea to you, right? They were selling their product without even having to sell the product. And Murphy's Law from Google itself says if something can go wrong, it will, and it usually does at the worst time. And again, it's a fact, right? So this is why when you have a car, not only is the car lender going to say you need to get car insurance before I give you this car, the state's going to tell you that too in case you hurt anyone. And this is why in business, or when you go buy a house, or when you go lease a house or anything, that's why there's a contract, because it's never going to be like, well, she said this or he said that or they promised me this. That's not going to happen. And if a car wreck does happen, or a tree lands on your car or anything else like that, your insurance is going to protect it. Why? Because it's risk management. Because we know in the past, when we didn't have these things, what happened to people. So now it's a requirement, right? So that is why it's important to understand Murphy's Law, not because it's bad, but because it's risk management. So with Murphy's Law, you now know to plan, prevent, prepare, and protect. That way you can enjoy life. That should be the game plan, because if you can already expect something to happen, why would you not go ahead and protect it, right? So if you know that you're taking a really big risk, or all these other possibilities outside you could happen, why would you not why would you not save yourself, right? And do the risk management to make sure you're protected. Okay, so now a quick history lesson about the Roaring 20s. So this was a time period when everyone had a bunch of freedom, the pursuit of happiness. People were experiencing more in life. They were out there enjoying themselves because they were making so much more money than they've ever made before, right? And then we know what happened, right? The Great Depression came, and it destroyed a lot of families that had a bunch of money. And it took a really long time, not only for these families to recover, but for the government to recover too. And the worst part is, if we know, the reason why we learn about history is not so we know about the past and so we can tell stories. It's about so we can learn from past experiences, even if they didn't happen to us. That way we can make better judgment calls and protect ourselves and our legacy and not repeat it, right? So we learn about history so we don't repeat it. And that's why it's important to pay attention in history, so you know what happens and you can help prevent it. But it took a really long time to recover, because instant gratification, living in the moment, and doing the same things will not lead you to long-term results that you actually desire in your lifestyle, your legacy, your business, whatever. So if you're doing things just because you're having fun, or you want to do it for the show or whatever, just know that eventually TV series, they end, and the party, it ends, and all these things eventually come to an end. And yeah, it could be so much fun in the moment, but when all of it ends, who's going to be there and what are you going to have, right? So make these decisions, because your family's going to be there and your close friends are going to be there. And if you're struggling, and if you're all struggling, no one's going to really be able to help each other financially. So it's important that we learn these financial things. That way we don't have our own Great Depression within our own life and within our own family. We don't want that, because it takes a long time to recover. And so like Great Depressions that families do have would be something like a bankruptcy, right? Or foreclosure, or other kind of crisis and stuff like that. So we got to learn from these mistakes, because we already know what happened in the past. We don't need it to happen again. And that's why I'm going to show you the little history of Wanderpreneur real fast. So we were created in 2015. My saying has been from day one, you're totally worth your dreams and capable. Wanderpreneur itself was not established until I was in Mexico, and I was intoxicated on margaritas. So I was with my friend Tequila, and I came up with Wander Less, Wander More in Isla Mujeres, and I came up with Wanderpreneur in Cozumel on the backside of the island. And from there, everything exploded. I hosted an online business summit teaching about entrepreneurship and how to start businesses online. January of 2017, I had my first $20,000 month. I was living the good life. I was traveling my birthday week. I went from being in Florida to snowboarding in Lake Tahoe. We had a boat, we had her lake house, we had everything you could possibly imagine, but something was broken within our marriage. I ended up leaving my husband, and everything starts to fall apart. And while it's falling apart, I'm over in Scotland public speaking. I'm in Mexico with my clients on a catamaran and teaching them about business there. I'm getting ready to go up to Canada and to New York City for other business things. And by the end of 2018, I was completely frozen, completely broken, and I had nothing, because I did not do anything for my financial foundation. And that was a time period where I kind of had to rediscover myself. Like, okay, well, that obviously didn't work. Obviously, I know how to help people, but obviously I'm doing them an injustice by not giving them something that is going to really transform their future. And so from there, I flipped to homes in early 2019. I started a wedding venue business. I lost everything again to an online marketing company scam, and then shot it right back up because I knew from past experience how to build myself back up. So now I know that it can be done really fast. You can flip the switch. And I started working with clients again and rebuilding Wanderpreneur and putting the pieces together, because I've always had this crazy obsession with not just entrepreneurship and businesses, but also with the money side of it. So I used to do mortgages, and I've always been crazy about helping self-employed people be able to buy homes, make the smart decisions, and looking over their credit and saying like, okay, well, I think this would be better for you, or you do this or that. And so I've always had that kind of brain too, because even whenever I was in special ed, I was the one that could speak math. I could do a math equation. I couldn't read. I couldn't really talk. I couldn't write. But when you did math, I totally got that. So math is my language, and I wanted to find a way to bring that into Wanderpreneur and just kind of wipe away anything else that didn't serve me. And so when I really saw that the back end of business is where I belong, and the finances side is where I belong, I just decided that Wanderpreneur needed to go in that direction. We needed to be the behind the scenes team for families. That way we could help them in any situation go out there and wander through their dream life, because it's not just about being a business owner. It's about being somebody and having that foundation so you can do whatever. So that is a little background. At the bottom, that's the kitchen that Brentley and I lived in the house, what it looked like in different stages, and spending an investor. So this is a big thing. This is what will cause you to drop to the bottom or grow, like grow really big. So spenders, they love instant gratification. They like social status. They always want what's trending. They always want to do something, right? And believe me, I was one of them. And I liked spending my money on restaurants and on vacations. That's what I really, really enjoyed during that time period, as well as buying gifts for others. So those were my pretty much big spending habits. And updating my house too. That was another big one. But I liked spending and I wasn't saving. And that's what caused me to crash. And investors, they love watching their money grow. They care about their net worth and are always focused on their ROI, thinking of their future. And this is what we need everybody to be. We need everybody to think like an investor. We need everyone to think that they are a part of Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or Rockefellers or the Rothschild family. Like, we need to start thinking that we are a part of them in that same boat. And what decisions are we going to make to make ourselves that wealthy, right? So we got to put ourselves in the big people's shoes, and that top 1% of people in the world. We need to be acting like we're in their shoes right now, so we can call the shots better and make smarter decisions. So that is just an example of what spenders are versus investors. And I'm going to show you some examples. So we got option 1, 2, and 3. And these are 3 different homes. And I went ahead and I came up with mortgages and buying options. Option 2 and 3 are the same house. That's actually the house that we bought. And I bought it at option 3 and we made it option 2. But I wanted to show this example because in the lending industry, back in 2017, at the end of it, I was talking to an old professor of mine who is worth like, I don't even know. I know he's worth a few million. I don't know how many, but I know he's worth more than just a few. Anyways, we were talking about the real estate market and things like that. And I told him at the time, I really think by the next election period, we're going to be in a recession. And he asked me why. And this was the first thing that I told him. Well, I see it in the housing industry. And he asked me, okay, well, what's happening? And I said, well, too many people are allowed to buy homes right now, and there's too many new builds being built. And when you really go into it, this is what I'm talking about, okay? So if you were to go buy a home, and let's say you're approved, right? And you make a certain amount of money or whatever, you can buy a home sometimes up to over like 50% on your debt to income ratio. And that's in Money Matrix. If you don't know what debt to income ratio is, it's something that lenders use to determine how much you get. And when I saw that had increased, and when I saw that, like, literally there's so many different programs and 580 credit scores could go out there and get whatever, and those people are obviously not the best at doing their finances. When I saw that they could go out there and buy option one, it freaked me out. And I even had somebody that is close to me get into this situation. Actually, a few people that I know of, they bought these homes that were in new built communities, and they're still building in them. And it kind of trapped them. They had very high mortgages. And when it came time to sell them, they didn't really make much after like a year of being there, because after you're there, things change. And we'll get into that again in a whole nother video. But because of all the abilities to qualify for a new built home, so many people are doing them because, again, American dream from the banks, this was screwing people up. And I started to notice this, and I started to notice that it would hurt a lot of people if we did start dropping. I didn't expect COVID-19 to go the way it did, way bigger than I predicted. But the whole reason I'm not for option one is because it costs more, number one. And number two, you can't gain equity. There's not a big, and equity is still that asset value. Okay, so how we talked about in the beginning about how it's money that you have if you sell something. So if I were to buy that house for $270, I would be lucky to sell it for like maybe $280. And after the expenses and everything else like that in 1 year, it would be really hard to even make anything on it. So that's more of like a depreciating asset, because you're not making anything. You're losing all the money that you're putting into it. So you might as well rent. Option two, you're able to still kind of go and play with it because it's actually affordable, and you're able to put money away. You're able to stay there if you were to lose an income. You're able to do pretty much whatever, and you're still going to make something. And then there's option three for anyone that's like super crazy like me, and you buy a home that's not livable, and you live there extra cheap and really build yourself out of a financial situation. And that's what Brentley and I did. We had insurance pay for the roof. We paid for a few other things. We maybe put about $7,000 into it. And these are just kind of like rough estimates again. And when we sold it, we made around $40,000 off of it, which got us to our lake house now and into a whole new financial situation where now we get to invest again into other things. So these are my examples of investing, because even though the new home may look awesome and it may be the best, option two is less. And if you were to do some of those things yourself, like, I don't know, if you want to have some really cool backsplash or countertops, it's cheaper for you to just go get an older home and do it, because the value is going to grow and you're going to make money when you sell it. Okay, so I'm all about what is the ROI going to be in the future. And in Money Matrix, I go over that again. If you're a client of ours, we go over that a lot on what the ROI is going to be, because we have to think of those things, because making memories and going and living out our dreams is so much better than being stressed out, not knowing how you're going to make your payment, not knowing how you're going to afford Christmas, not knowing if you're even ever going to be able to get out of this situation, right? So I don't like option one. I'm against it. I love that there are home builders, especially ones that build homes in different areas that are not like this is a building cookie cutter neighborhood. I love builders like that, like the custom home builders. I think they're awesome. I think that they're awesome when they go find cheap land and they build a nice home there for people to still have. But option two is my way to go in most situations. Option three, again, if you're super crazy and you want to have like a notebook love story and really test your relationship and see if it's going to work out, go buy an unlivable home. So that's my example on home ownership. Now this is my example on cars, examples of investing. Okay, so investing mindset doesn't necessarily mean that you're investing into a business or into stock or into anything. It just means that we're thinking smart. We're trying to keep the money in our account. So I've already mentioned that a car is a depreciating asset, right? So if you have $5,000 cash, yes, you can go and buy a used car, because people always say like, oh, just get a used car because used cars are better to buy than new cars. Just get something a little bit older. So I did a 2012, so I didn't go like too crazy and get something newer. And it's $14,000. We could probably talk them down a little bit. We have $5,000 down, so we're probably going to finance around $9,000. And then I went to Facebook Marketplace and I found these two cars. We got a 2005 and a 2008. The 2008 has a little bit more higher mileage on it, and that's $4,000. And then the other one is $5,000. And the whole reason I chose this car is because I used to have one, and I was able to have like 300,000, like over. I think we hit almost 330,000 miles on it. Anyways, best car ever. And me thinking as an investor standpoint, I'm not going to go with the one that I need the car loan. I'm going to go with the one that's probably the 08 because it's the cheapest, and I could probably talk them down another $500 and walk away with $1,000 in my pocket, because again, you have to pay for the registration and all that kind of stuff. So that will take up some of the expense, but I would go for the 08. Why? Because it's the cheapest one, and I already know that it's going to last a long time. And look, it looks so similar to the new one already, so why not go ahead and drive it? And I know people say like, oh, but there's no warranty on it, or it could fall apart, or it could have this or that. But when you really think about it, so could that other car. And I know a lot of people that buy newer cars that have issues too, because things used to be made a lot better than what they are now. But I have never met somebody that is like extremely in the millionaire status. I've never met someone that just goes out and buys a brand new car, or even like a brand new used car. Pretty much I always see them go for something else, and their cars last forever. It's talking about that professor that I mentioned. Like, he has 3 vehicles, they're all paid off, and they're all older. I think his newest one may be like an 02, but they still look awesome. You would think that they're that new. But again, go for the older one because you're keeping money in your pocket. Now, if you were to go for the 2012 and have that car loan, you also have to think, now you just changed your break-even point. You just added that car payment into something that's required for you to pay every month. So that is an example. Again, you just inflated now what you have to make. You increased that value, and you bought a depreciating asset. So it wasn't really a smart investment. So that is the car example for anyone in that stage of their life to understand why used is better. And this is my favorite one to explain for the young ones. So like if you're in high school, you probably really like name brands. And this is my example for shopping. So if you want name brands, most likely you can go to that direct store and go get it, or you can go to like a discount store like Ross, right? Because they have the name brands for less. It may be last season's or whatever, but they still have name brands there. And so if you were to get clothes or home goods or anything like that, instead of going and buying the most expensive thing, you could just go over to one of these kind of stores. And Walmart is another great example because they have the same measuring cup that Bed Bath & Beyond has, that other top little stores have. They have the exact same thing that does the exact same function there for a lot less. So that is an example of investing, because you're going to pay less for these things that you need, right? Or for things that you want, essentially. And then I put Goodwill up here, Let Go, and Shop, or Poshmark, because that's big now too, and people make money on those by selling and trading and stuff like that. So Goodwill is up here because you can obviously go buy something extra cheap and redo it sometimes and sell it if you're bootstrapping some kind of little business. You could also go to Goodwill and just be wearing that thing, and yeah, like you're just wearing it to save even more money than what you would have been spending somewhere else, depending on what kind of situation you're in. Now, with Let Go and Shop My Closet, this is where people go to sell those home goods that they've already bought, that they no longer want. They go and they put it there versus taking it to Goodwill. Why? Because now they're getting an ROI, even though they wore it and there was depreciation, depreciation is when the value goes down. So it may have cost, let's say, $1,000 for the new iPhone, but over time the value goes down, and maybe in 3 years I sell it for $300 to someone that needs a new iPhone. I don't know, but that's just an example. So Let Go and Poshmark would be another example, because now you're selling it versus just dropping it off. Going to a resale store, and like, I love a retail store that we have out here, a resale thrift store. That's what I'm talking about. I drop stuff there all the time, and Brentley is always amazed because it's like an income stream for us now. So anytime that we're like going through and getting rid of things because we moved and we got rid of things, he went through divorce, I went through one, and stuff like that, I just go and drop it off there. And there has been times where I've made like $300 just by dropping stuff off. So having things that you already use and enjoy and you no longer want can still make you money. That's very entrepreneurial of me to do. It's also still, in a way, bootstrapping, because I was able to put that money towards something else. So now it's like our fun money, and we just like put it in the savings account for traveling. So that's another example. And this is an example that anyone can understand, because we all go out to eat and we all know what mac and cheese is, right? So in this example, I am comparing it to eating out to these other name brands. And when you look at one serving at a restaurant, it's $2.49. But then when we look at Velveeta, it's $1 pretty much for one serving, and it goes as low as 12 cents per serving. So if we know that we're trying to save up to buy a home, pay off debt, invest in some kind of business, or do something else, or we're just like really stuck right now financially, it doesn't, or if we're not making money, especially like kids. So I know you want to go out to eat and everything, but just think about like what staying at home means, right? Because now you're able to save up that money and go do something even more fun, like take a really fun family trip. So when you go out to eat, if you were to get 3 servings there, that's almost $8, where you could have the Velveeta one for $3 total, so $1 a serving, versus the almost $8 right there. Or you could have the really cheap one for 35 cents total, right? So that right there just brings money back in. And the whole reason I'm showing these different investment examples is because you don't necessarily have to start making more money to have more money right now. Because believe it or not, if you make $30,000 right now, and if you think like, when I make an additional $10,000 a year, or once I get that bonus, it's going to change everything, you're wrong, because it's your habits. You are currently a terrific spender, and we need you to be a terrific investor. So if you expect that once you make $100,000 a year, or once you retire and you have your whole entire retirement to live off of, and you think that it's just going to be like the best thing ever, it's not, because you're going to still have those habits. And that's why we have to change the habits now. And habits change when we learn about money and we start to change different behaviors, right? And so once you change something for at least 21 days in a row, it kind of starts becoming the new way of life. So just remember that, and maybe make it a challenge in your family about different things. And just think about it this way. If you go out to eat all the time because you think that it's saving you time, it's not. You're driving there, you're sitting down, you're waiting, then you're eating, then you're waiting for your paycheck, or not your paycheck, but your check to pay them, and then you're driving back home. And this is nothing against the restaurant industry, because I love going out to eat too, but the time that it takes for you to go do all those things, you could have opened up your pantry and done it yourself in your house. And at the same time, you're going to save money that way. And so it's important to learn these things, because this can help you save up that extra money to do whatever it is that you're trying to do, and go out there and be a wanderpreneur. Okay? So that is my little thing about investing versus spending. It's not that you make more money and you magically have more money. It's your habits. You have to change your habits. And you have to change your everything you know about money has to change, because it's been taught wrong, and it really hasn't even been taught. It's just been different opinions floating around for so long, but you have to get educated in this. This is something I want you to screenshot because this is your homework assignment. I did tell you in the beginning that I'm not a salesperson, I'm a teacher. So congratulations, you have homework. I want you to download your bank statement and I want you to go look at everything. I want you to look at your bills. I want you to look at your debts. I want you to look at things that you're buying. Are you going out and drinking a lot? Are you buying clothes a lot? Are you eating out? Is there anything on there that shouldn't be on there? Like maybe you have an old subscription that you didn't even know you were paying for and you can cancel it. Boom, we just increased your profit. We increased what you should have at the end of the month. That's extra money coming back in now. Now I want you to pull out your credit report. I want you to do the same thing. I want you to look at it. I want you to add up all the minimum amounts. I want you to look at any derogatory accounts that are on there or collection accounts. I want you to just see everything that you have. Like, what kind of situation are you in? Before we can even go on a road trip, we must go into our closet, pull out what we want, and put it in the suitcase, right? So this is the part where you are in your closet and you're deciding what you're taking on this trip, because these are the things you're going to have to need to know what we're doing on this big adventure that we're going on. So it's important that you know these different things. And if you have a child right now that's in high school and you already have decent credit, then I want you to pick out a credit card that you don't necessarily, you have like the best habits on. Either you don't really use it that much or you always keep a low balance on it and pay it off well. I want you to call up that credit card agency. This is not on homework, so I hope you're listening. Call them up and say, I'm adding my child as an authorized user. I want you to do this. That way you guaranteed your kid now to adopt all your past not credit card, but your whole credit history. So if your credit is over, let's say 680, I want you to pick up the phone, call that credit report agency, and put your teenage daughter or son as an authorized user. You don't need to give them the card. Don't do that. Don't do that. But do that. That way, when they graduate and when they go out and they start doing things, you're not going to have to go be a cosigner. They're already going to have your credit history adopted. So that's already one little tool that you can do to help your future legacy, just by making that call and saying, I want to make them an authorized user, but they're not going to spend it. So that just reminded me of the credit report thing. Now, I want you to look at also personal debts you may have. Do you owe anyone money? Let's go ahead, add them to that list. I want you to think of other commitments that you have to make. Is there anything that's coming up that's not already listed on anything else? And just see, like, what is your total amount of debt? What are you required to pay a month? Figure out what your break even is. And I want you to just start looking over everything and find out what extra money you have to manage after you do all these different little sections that I mentioned on number 6. I want you to do the equation. Income minus your break even. Find out that extra money to manage. Now, this is the golden money that you have. This is going to test you because you're going to want to go spend it on those really cool things that you want right now. But guess what? It's not going to matter next year or in 5 years or in 20 years. It's not going to matter. Okay. So just forget about whatever it is that you want to go buy and know that that extra money right there is going into your future Wanderpreneur account. Okay. So that's going towards your dream life. That's going towards your future. And you're going to spend it once you get there because you're going to need it. And you're going to have way bigger dreams ahead of you. Okay. Than whatever cool thing you think you're going to go buy with that. And then I want you to kind of just, pay attention to what your initial reaction is. Were you like completely shocked? Like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible with money. Or were you like, oh, wow, I'm pretty good at this already. Either way, I want you to take note of it. And if you want to talk about this assignment, please, let's talk about it. I love talking about this stuff. And now that we're done with income, I hope everyone screenshotted it. If not, this is your moment. I'll smile for your screenshot. But now we're going to go into the U.S. economy trends, because now we know about Murphy Money Matrix, not Murphy Money, Murphy's Law. Now we know about Murphy's Law and risk management. We must now look at the economy trends, right? Because if we know something is going to happen, why would we not prepare ourselves, right? If we know that when we leave our house, that leaving the door unlocked could basically have a burglar or have somebody come in and hide and get us or whatever, like, why would we leave and not lock the door, right? So if we're studying the U.S. economy trends, this is what we're going to find. These are all the different recessions, all right here, okay? And the whole reason I'm showing these recession time periods since the Great Depression, because it's like we remember the Great Depression, and the people in my era, they may remember the time period between 2007 and 2009, because that's when a lot of our parents got divorced. So if you were born in like the mid 80s to mid 90s, then you were most likely, you had a really high chance of most likely being like one of the divorced kids, because I knew a lot of kids that had divorced parents at that time period. And now we have COVID-19. Now it's not technically a recession yet because it hasn't been 6 months, but we saw what happened. The stock market did go all the way down. Oil went down because of things happening in other countries. Jobs, I think there was over like 3 million filed on like the same week, and that's insane. So if we know that recessions are going to happen, why would we not plan? And if you actually look at all the different years, you would see that the 2009 recession and COVID-19, that is one of the largest gaps that we've had since the Great Depression. I'm just going to throw in some other things because, you know, life is like that, right? Like when one bad thing happens, it all kind of just sprinkles in. So there's some wars, there's some health things, there's some natural disaster. And then I highlighted each of these and I went ahead and we're going back over it. So if you see, most of these recession time periods had other things going on. So depending on where you were at or what industry you were in, things were affected. And this one in the red back in 2007 and 9, that time period, all 3 of these things were happening. The whole world was coming to an end with everything happening. And I wanted to put this in a perspective in case you're like, whatever, that's the economy. These are my grandparents. They were actually my angel investors in my business when I entered a business plan competition back in college, and I won. They ended up matching my winnings, and that kind of helped me kickstart my business. So that was super cool and nice of them. And he's also an entrepreneur, and my grandma's been by his side and helping him build his legacy too, and our whole legacy. And what was I gonna say? And basically, growing up, I thought it was normal to be a business owner. I thought it was normal to go on vacations and to go have a second home. I thought those things were normal because of like my grandparents right here, because that's just what my normal was. And everyone's normal is different, but I wanted to bring that up because I also know what it's like to be on the whole other side and have a family member that files bankruptcy and be on welfare and have absolutely nothing. So I know both spectrums of what it's like to do all those things. So I went ahead and I put their life on this just to show that, okay, they were born back in the Great Depression time period, and they got married. They had 3 children. They started their business. And so just looking at this, even just their business alone, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different, I mean, he doesn't have it now, but that's 6 recessions in the life of his business. And their business is still going on today if other family members are managing it. But if you look at over the time of their life period, those are all the recessions that they have lived through. And they were really smart and calculated with it. Like, I will give that to my grandparents. They were smart. And the whole reason I'm showing this to you is because if you have a child right now that's in COVID-19, COVID-19 is going to be like the new Great Depression that's taught in school. So your child is also going to go through this. And depending on where you're at on the map when you were born, you're going to go through this too, because we should already expect it every 6.5 years, because that's the average. So we should know going forward with Murphy's Law and risk management that recessions are going to happen, and they're going to continue to happen because that's how it goes. It's a trend, and there's no secret behind it. Anything could happen at any moment, right? Life is not planned, and if it was, it'd be kind of boring, and we would all be like emotionless creatures. So it's going to happen, so we got to plan for it. And when we take the economy trends and we put it with the family trends, this is where it gets bad on the home side, because not everything is about money. Yes, that's like the very masculine side, but if you also have to think about the feminine side, and the feminine side is like your family and the love and the relationships and everything else like that. So when we put the two together, what do we get? We don't want a disaster, right? So bankruptcies. These are the top reasons why people get bankrupt, okay? Most of the time it's medical expense or they lose their income. They're not managing their debts and money and credit and all that kind of stuff. It's a divorce or separation or unexpected events, okay? So right now, COVID-19 could be causing a few of these different things, right? Because if you lose your job, now your expenses are really high and it puts you in a really tight position because you have no more income. Because you can't just call up your debt collectors and your car company and your mortgage company and say, well, I'm sorry, sir, but I don't make that money anymore, so we're just going to have to lower that payment, or I'm just not going to pay you for right now. You know what they're going to say? Like, okay, we're still going to repo your place or your car, or we're going to come and foreclose on your home. Like, it's not, you sign an agreement with them. So in these situations, how can we prevent this? And I really, truly believe that if we're teaching about finances and we're getting more educated about money, we're going to change this. We're not going to have as many. And we're really lucky that right now with the economy that Trump has built up, we have seen a decrease in bankruptcies. And I want you to pay attention to this one section. Do you see where it says businesses on there? If you look at it, in 2019, out of all the bankruptcies that did happen, 22,000 of those were businesses. The rest of those were families, like your family and like my family. It could have happened to anybody. And I don't want those things to happen to people because I know what it's like to recover, and it can take a really, really long time. I also know from a lending standpoint that your medical debts, they don't even go into your debt to income ratio. So if your credit's not like completely wrecked, you could possibly still get a house. And I also know that we're in the United States and other places in the world too. They will not refuse you a medical services. So if you literally need to go to the doctor, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, that you're bleeding out right now through that main artery, but because you owe us money, we're not going to help you. No, they're not going to do that. You're still going to get help. They're still going to help you. And you can call up those people and you can say, I can't afford much, but can I just pay $1 a month? And they may say like, oh, no, and like get all mad at first. But as long as you're making some kind of payment, that's all that matters. Okay. And also, if you have them on your credit report that we have already done because of the homework assignment, you're going to go do it. If you have medical expenses or even anything else that's in your derogatory or collections part, call them and see what kind of deal you can work out, because most of the times if they're already with the collection agency, you don't have to pay the full amount. So if you owe $1,000 on something, call them up and say, I can't afford to pay the whole $1,000. Could I go ahead and pay half of it and take care of it? Will you go ahead and take this off my credit if I pay $500 right now? Because that's all I have. And most of the time, they're going to negotiate a deal. And that's what being an entrepreneur is about. You're negotiating, right? So don't forget to negotiate. And negotiating is just going back and forth. It's the oldest thing that's been around forever. Even before money was here, we bartered, we traded, and we negotiated. So don't be scared of doing that. Call them up and say, I really need to take care of this off my debt. And all I have is this. So start with maybe like half of it and just see, because if it's with a collection agency, they've either bought it really, really low, and so they're going to be lucky to make anything because it's like a lead, and they pay something like literally almost nothing compared to what the debt is, and they're just trying to make something, or they're going to get a big percent of it anyways, and there's just a minimum. So if the people that you owe money to, the collection agencies, they just want to get something, okay? They don't necessarily have to get everything, but there are tricks to help save you from doing bankruptcy. Divorce. This is another big thing. This happens to over 50% of the families. And I'm not just going to even say the couples because the kids are involved too, right? And the kids are watching. And these are some of the top reasons. Yes, cheating and infidelity, all that was the number one reason. But these were the reasons right under it. So lack of money or mismanagement. Hello, we can fix that with education. Miscommunication. Unrealistic expectation, that goes to the whole instant gratification thing. you're just expecting like so much more because you're used to that kind of society. You're used to just watching TV and thinking that's what happens, but life does not happen that way. And lack of equality. So most of the time, if there's a breadwinner and the other person is like the stay-at-home parent, or they're making a lot less or whatever, or working part-time or whatever, sometimes the breadwinner may be more entitled to go out and spend money how whatever, whereas the other one isn't like that. And usually that other one is about like providing for the rest of the family and making sure, and then they get into fights, which leads to miscommunication and money, right? So let's just fix the money problem and fix the divorce rate, and let's fix the money problem on the bankruptcy side and help families on both sides, because we don't need these things happening, especially if we know recessions are happening. We don't need all this happening. And we also know what happens when you do get divorced. It's just a bunch of fighting, and there's child support that one parent has to pay, which lowers their money even more. So let's fix it by teaching. So that is why knowledge is really, really, really important. Okay, so the Wanderpreneur flow formula, like I mentioned a minute ago about how there's the masculine side and then there's the feminine side. So I'm a firm believer that there is an equation to this, because it works every time for me and for Brentley, and he's like the master of flow. Like, and I have him skateboarding on the side because I'm going to show that as an example, because physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, education, action, and risk management, all of those stuff have to be present for the other side to be completely successful. So for financial results, healthy relationships, opportunities that are like completely amplified, because if you've ever noticed that you have those friends that it's like opportunities just like rain upon them, and they're like, oh, I need to get a bigger rain bucket to just collect all this. And then you have people that are like, nothing ever happens to me, I don't understand, I can't get out of this, blah, blah, blah. There's those kind of things happening, right? And success and alignment and wandering more through your dream life. If you expect all those things to happen, you have to be taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, education and action, and risk management. And the whole skateboarder thing that I'm showing you right here, physically, he has to be in shape to do it. Mentally, he has to have the right mindset to go up all the way and then go back down after doing a trick, right? Because if I were to do that, I would just freak out and fall, probably hurt myself. Emotionally, again, has to be all in, has to be focused, has to believe in himself, has to have high spirits that he can do it, which is still the spirituality part, which means that you have to have faith in yourself and you have to believe. It doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a God or a universe or a future self or the aliens or whatever it is that you believe in. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but it means that either you have to believe in what you're doing, you have to believe in yourself, or you have to believe in something greater than yourself, okay? Because at some point in your life, you're not going to believe in something greater than yourself, because you're going to have some kind of incident happen where you just fall, and so you're going to lose faith in that. At some point in your life, you're going to not believe in yourself, and at some point in your life, you're not going to believe in what you're doing. So as long as you have one of those to believe in, you still have faith, right? So that's why you have to have that. If you at least have one of those, you're going to be just fine. Education plus action, because not just education, because you can be one of the smartest people in the world, but if you're not applying everything that you're learning, it's useless, right? So you have to take the education and implement it. Have the action behind it. Take the steps after you learn it. And then risk management, because we know what happens when we're not protected, right? That's why we have the situation that we are in this country, which is over 70% not having much to live off of at their end of the month. And then financial results, healthy relationships, all that, it comes. It automatically comes. And if you look at somebody that does have all those things, and then you start looking like, oh, wow, like they do take care of themselves. They are confident in themselves. Wow, like they have it all. Like they are doing those things. Most of the time, they're tied together. So it's really easy to tell when something is off. So this is the Wanderpreneur flow formula. That's what I'm going to call it, because it is about being in the flow. Take it and apply it. And if you're lacking in an area, but you're trying to get to these results on the other side, go fix that area. And I'm telling you, it's like, boom, you start having it, right? So, and again, with this whole little thing too, money doesn't like desperation. Money doesn't like that because money comes from people, and people don't like desperate people, right? And so if you're not used to being in the sales position, I want you to kind of just think like you're dating, right? So you go on, you're just out with friends and you're single and you meet somebody at the bar or whatever, and you know that like one weird guy or whatever that's like, hey, I want your number, and he just was like, whatever, you're automatically going to be like, okay, get away, right? Because you don't want that desperate behavior. You don't want that. You automatically don't like it. So if you're acting desperate for money, know that those opportunities, they don't like it. Money doesn't like it. It's not going to happen for you because everybody can see the desperate side, okay? So just think of that, and also just know that what you believe and what you speak is going to happen. So if you're conscious of your language, if you're saying things like, I hope I can go do blah, 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 or someday I'm going to do XYZ, just know that like, that's not true. That's really not true at all, because someday isn't going to happen. It never does. Someday is just whenever. And hoping is kind of like just being okay subconsciously that if it doesn't happen, it's okay, because you didn't actually have faith to know that it was going to happen. So I don't want you to think like that. And if you're out there saying, and like I had a client one time that constantly said like, oh, nothing ever good happens in her business anymore. Her husband can't get a job, this and that. And it was constantly all the time. And finally I had to say, like, when are you going to stop saying these things? Like, you're just automatically just putting that block up, okay? So you got to get in the flow and you got to be in the right mindset. And Brentley's a really good example, because when I first met him, before we started dating, I asked him, or I shouldn't say when I first met him, but once we started dating, I asked him, and it was a big question, like, where do you see yourself in a few years? Like, what are your goals? And he told me like how he wanted to have a good job and he wanted to work for this company that he already does work for now. And I was like, okay, well, that's like the easiest goal ever. Like, why are you not making a resume and just getting it ready and going applying? Literally, he made the resume. The next day, his friend called and said, hey, I know this guy that works for this company. You want to go work for him? It was the company he told me he wanted to work for, and he had the job. So the moment you start taking action and you start believing in yourself, I'm telling you, those opportunities come flying your way. So just remember that the Wanderpreneur Flow formula, it works. Okay, so that's the very like feminine side of it. And the whole economy trends and all that, that's the very masculine side. And you have to have both. You can't have one without the other. That's not how it works in science. That's not how it works in religion. That's not how it works in any of this, not even with money. You got to be in the flow. You got to have it both. So we're going to play a game now because we're in class, right? And I'm a teacher. I'm teaching you about money today, and we are going to play with something called a 401k. And a 401k, for anyone that doesn't know, that's a retirement plan. Most likely, if you are in the workforce, your employer has a 401k option for you, or they should have one for you, right? So this is something that a lot of employees have, and when it comes to the self-employed, you typically you don't have this unless you go out and make it happen for yourself. So we're going to play a game, and I'm going to show you 3 different graphs, and the first one is a fixed graph. And this is what your mortgage looks like. So if you were to go buy a home, you have a mortgage rate and it's going to be fixed, right? So it's a fixed rate. It's never going to change. When you have a savings account and you see your savings account grow a little bit every single year, that is fixed. It's the same growth rate, right? And it's almost like invisible. So it goes just a tiny, tiny bit. It's so tiny. But that's a fixed rate. And if we're saving money, especially as self-employed, our savings account is not going to lead us to our big, wild, crazy dreams or anything like the movies that we watch when people retire and they just go travel Europe and have fun, right? That's not going to happen if we have it in a savings account. It's not going to happen if we're trying to save up for something big pretty fast either, okay? So that's not really going to work for us for retirement. Now we have a variable account. Now look at this. So when the market goes up, we go up. Our bank account goes up. Our retirement plan, it is growing and it's awesome. But Look what happens in a recession. It goes back down. That's a problem. And that's the stock market and most retirement plans. So if your retirement right now with COVID-19 happening, if you go look at it, if it went down, it's a variable. Okay, so it's depending on the actual market, and it's moving just like the stock market. So anything that you built up these last few years, since Trump came in and did all his magical things to the government, then you lost all that interest added. You didn't necessarily lose the money that you put in, because it is a retirement account. So the stock market, if you put in $100 and it went up to 200 and it dropped 300, well, now you're like at a loss, right? So with a stock market, everything's playing. You put it out there, it's like gambling in Las Vegas. Now with the retirement plan, if you put $100 in and it grows to 200 and it drops back down, it's only going to drop back down to what you already have in most situations. Now, I can't speak for everyone. I don't know your actual terms and conditions, but it would be something to go and look over if you are in a variable stock market plan, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to show you, this is something that I wish I knew about, okay? I wish I knew about this back when I graduated college. I wish I knew about this with my first job. I wish I knew about this like way before I even started my whole adulting adventure, right? So this is an index account. And this is freaking cool, because look at this. So you have the gray line, and that's the variable line, right? So that's the stock market. That's it going up and down, the economy and everything else like that. And then you have the red line, and that's the money that we put in. So let's say that each one of those lines is $100. Or let's say 1,000. 1,000 sounds even cooler. So we started it with $2,000, right? And the economy grew, so our account went up an additional $2,000. Talk about an awesome ROI. We just got like 100% a return on our investment. Well, even more than that, because it doubled. And then we hit a recession, which sucks, right? Because we hit the recession and it should have brought us back down to 2,000. How weird, right? But it didn't. So what happened here, it stayed the same because it's an index account. An index is pretty much like ensuring that you're not going to lose anything, you're only going to grow it. And so it stays constant until the economy comes back up. And when the economy comes back up, all of a sudden you start growing again. And so now you're up here on this line, which is, I don't know, like $6,000, maybe 3. Yeah. So now you're up at $6,000 when you started at $2,000, instead of being back at whatever, right? So in the long term, your money is always going to be there, and you can pull it out whenever you want, right? And then you continue to grow it or stay stable while the economy goes back down. You're still stable. The economy shoots back up, you go back up. Economy goes down, you stay constant, but you never lose the money, and it grows over time. So instead, it's going to start growing and growing and growing. And if I had your information in the system, we'd be able to populate a whole graph based on your own situation, and you could really play with the numbers at that point. But that is what I call the new kind of retirement plan. And that is my kind of retirement plan, because I don't want to lose things. Because if you also think about it, if you are trying to retire, let's say you have to retire, or you get laid off, and the market is down, right? Well, you just lost everything. So if you just got laid off, or if you have to retire right now because maybe you got sick or something, well, you're not getting all that extra added interest in the variable account. If you retired right here, like, you're stuck. You only get right there. You don't get all this added stuff that you thought you were going to get. You get pretty much nothing. I guess I should say this one. That way that one could be included. But if you were over here and you retire and like the downfall, or you lose your income in the downfall, you're still up here no matter what. That's called risk management. Like, you get a check mark, A+ for that. So that's why that's important. And that's my favorite. I didn't realize that I did that. Now we're going to talk about taking it out. So now it's actually time to retire, right? So woohoo, we're retiring, we're gonna be rich, right? And Uncle Sam is like, wait a second, Kristi, I'm coming for your money. So let's talk about this real fast. If we had our money in a fixed account, which would be the savings accounts and the CDs, and a CD is a certified account, that's like where you go into the bank, you pay for it up front, and it grows over time, and you can't touch it. So that is taxes that you pay for up front. And then if we just do this real fast, the average household income is $64,000. Taxes paid every year, that's about $10,000 for a family. Working years, the average person works 50 years. And the average 401k at retirement is 172, which is really, really low and really scary, because Social Security, I don't really necessarily think is going to last forever, because it was never built to last forever. Pay attention in government class, kids, okay? Total income. So over the 50 years, you made $3.2 million, and your taxes paid were $500,000. Okay, so you already paid Uncle Sam $500,000, but he's still gonna take money from your variable account. Okay, so even though you have paid taxes, you're now retiring, and let's say you have that $172,000 in that variable 401k or an IRA or any of these things right here, a savings bond, a fixed annuity, those kind of things, you're going to get taxed, and you're not going to get taxed on the amount of money you put in. You're going to get taxed on whatever that amount is at the end. So if it grew a ton over the years with interest, well, you're going to get taxed with all that added income that you're earning. Or if you lost a lot of money, you're still going to get taxed and get even less than what you were expecting. So it's important to know that up front. And with my really cool account over there, I love it, if you can't tell, that is a tax advantage account. Okay, so your Roth IRAs, your cash, any kind of like cash insurance policy. So I call it a CVLI. It's a cash value life insurance policy. So because it's insurance, even though it is still technically a retirement solution, and you still get to pull out money before you even die. Again, just because it's life insurance doesn't mean that you have to die and you leave it to someone else. It's life insurance because you're living your life right now, and it's ensuring that it's still going to be there no matter what day of the week it is, or what state the economy is in, or what state you're in. It's still going to be there, right? So those have advantages, and again, that's based on whatever different situation, because even though those are different topics right there, there are like hundreds of different scenarios, and we're just going to take it as it is right now, that there's a tax advantage. And a tax advantage means that you're paying less than what you should be paying, or you're not paying taxes on it, right? So if it was a gift, most likely you wouldn't get it. So if you get an estate and you get a gift from like a grandparent passing away, a parent passing away, a loved one, whatever, passes away, and they leave you something behind, if it's a gift to you, you don't pay taxes on it. And so this is something that the rich do that only help them get richer, because they don't even have to die to get this money. It's still there, and it's ensured that it's going to be there no matter what is happening. Meanwhile, the other person is going up and down, and it's staying right there. And so it's kind of like, okay, I hope I get laid off or fired or retired when the economy is up, because if not, I'm screwed. But most of the time, layoffs happen when the economy is down, so you're actually losing out. But on the other one, because again, it's a retirement strategy with insurance, and a lot of wealthy people are doing this, then it's only going to grow. So that's my little 401k game, and I hope that you learn something from it, that variable 401ks are not always the best way. But also, for all you self-employed people, please have some kind of retirement plan, because I'm just going to go back right here. $172,000 for the average person to retire is nothing, especially if you have spending habits. Again, you got to change your habits. And if you're trying to have a really cool, fun lifestyle when you do retire, you're going to need a lot more money than that, because that's not going to last, especially not when you get older and you have medical bills and all those other stuff. So Let's move on. This is something that I found on Google because I know that some people may be like, okay, who does she think she is talking about all this, right? So, why do rich people invest in life insurance? That's the question. And right there, it says life insurance completes protection of your invested cash value. So that is just another little thing. And you can go out there and do your own research too. But I'm telling you, it's awesome. And this is something else that I found. And for any of you that like study all the big wealthy people, if you look up the 1%, these are just a few of the names that are mentioned. They're the ones that helped create the central bank in the 20th century, going back to the whole American dream that they sold you on. They made the banking system and sold you on that. Talk about great marketing skills. And the wealthy have always understood, look at that, life insurance. You see that word right there? Life insurance. They understood that. And they understood what the index account is. And if you've never seen that in your life, it's not your parents' fault. It's not your grandparents' fault. It's not your teacher's fault. It's not anyone else's fault. It's the fact that, well, people didn't know. People did not know about that, and they never really talked about it because they were all talking about the stock market and they were all talking about the other ones. Why? Because the people that are selling those accounts, they're making more money on those things too, I think. I don't really know necessarily for a fact, but I just know that those are pushed a lot more, and we hear about those a lot more, right? So moving on. Wanderpreneur has always been about bridging the gaps between wondering what if and wandering actually through your dream life. It's always been about entrepreneurship, and it's always been about finances. It's always been about education and the implementation part of it and holding your hand and walking you through it. If you want to run, we'll run with you. If you want to go slow, we'll go slow. Whatever your speed is, we're going to do that speed. We've also been about one main income source and multiple streams of income. So it doesn't matter right now where you're at. We're able to take what we have and fix it and grow it. We're also about the two sides, like I've already mentioned. There's two sides of energy. There's the masculine, there's the feminine side, right? In religion and in science, just like there's a negative and a positive. So if you're in the negative right now, if you're in a situation in life where it is a negative experience, just know that a positive experience that much greater is coming, because sometimes in life, bad things happen. That way it can fall apart and better things can come along, okay? Because we can't hold on to everything in life, right? So we have to make room for all the good things coming. So whatever doesn't serve us, it just vanishes. And so sometimes that can be a good thing. So if you're in a crisis right now, just know it's going to be okay in the long run, as long as you take action. And where someone is right now and where they want to go, that's what we do. We like to know what your dreams are. We like to come up with a blueprint. We like to bridge the gap and help you get there, okay? So we're the bridge builders between where you're at now and your dream life. We want to help you build that bridge, and we're going to put you across it, okay? And if you don't want a bridge, we'll do a zip line or a boat or however else you want to get to your dreams. We're going to help you get to the other side. And the whole reason I brought up Richard Branson is because Wanderpreneur is something that I want to grow. I want to make Wanderpreneur something massive and huge. And I've been told in the past, like, oh, you can't have a business and just keep calling it Wanderpreneur. And I just want to kind of just show right now, like, this is something that's been a challenge for me, because I want this to be international. I want to be able to help a lot of people. I want to be able to teach. I want to be able to provide value and have a global impact when it comes to money and finances and helping people's dreams come true, because that's where it starts. It starts with our entrepreneurs that want to make an impact. It starts with teaching our children about finances and changing our own habits because they're watching us. And it starts with knowing that it exists, right? And I brought Richard Branson up because he is an example that Wanderpreneur can do this, because he's had Virgin now since the 70s and it's only gone freaking big, right? And he owns his own island now and everything. But those are all examples of different companies that he has with Virgin, and Virgin has become a very well-known name, especially for people that are in those kind of industries that he's in. And I want Wanderpreneur to be that much bigger, as well as be able to make the impact that he's able to make with all his nonprofits. So if you look up this guy, he's done a ton of stuff of entrepreneurial stuff. He's done a ton of different things with the whole like ecosystem and the coral reefs and different things like that, and giving back to people in these situations where they don't have their finances. And I want to be able to do that. And just knowing that Richard Branson did it is proof that I can do it with Wanderpreneur. And I want to tell you guys that too. Like, if you see someone out there doing what your dream is, know that your dream is possible. Okay? Because if they're doing it, it's possible that you can do it too. You just got to take the right steps and get out there. And I'm going to continue to always push Wanderpreneur, because I want Wanderpreneur to be just as big as Nike, just as big as everything, but have the impact that Virgin's been able to do, and to really grow it. Like, I can't even tell you about I mean, I could, but I'm going to keep some stuff a secret of how big I want Wanderpreneur to be. And I know that people have thought I was crazy for doing this over the course of the 5 years or whatever, but I'm sticking to it because I'm wandering in the direction of my dream life. And I'm really, really encouraging you to do the same. Okay, so our business model at Wanderpreneur is a little bit of everything, because we want to be able to fit everybody no matter where they're at, right? So and when you are in business, if you're starting a business, this is a good example. You want your freebies, you want your low buy-ins, your mid and your high buy-ins. And we're starting our podcast show again. This is something I used to have, so if it's an oldie that is a goldie, you got to bring it back, right? So we're bringing back the Wanderpreneur Movement podcast show. We also have Money Matrix, which is a free course, and again, tons of value in it, because I really want you to learn these tools and go teach people and pass it along to your loved ones, pass it along to anyone that you want to help out. Just get it in the hands of people, because I really want to change the stats on finances. And our initial business consultations, those are free. I'm no longer doing private consultations. I have my group mentorship, and that's the only thing that I'm doing with business now, because I have a team to build, and I have this to build and families to fix. And then Wanderpreneur financial coaches. Okay, so if you want to work with them, they are always going to be free. Okay, I just want to let you know that, always. So I don't care if you're with nothing, if you have absolutely nothing, you're the one that needs to talk to the financial coach more than anyone else does. Okay, so know that you can. Like, we are your helpline. We want to be there. We want to make sure your dreams come in. We want to make sure that you're making the smart decisions, the best decisions, and you are protected. Okay, so it will always be free for you to have a financial coach. Don't worry how we make money. We'll make money on the backside, okay? Because that's what entrepreneurs do. We're smart, we're savvy, we can do it. Low buy-ins. We have the Wanderpreneur School. It's $35 a month. We have life insurance stuff. We have teledoc plans. So if you're struggling right now, but you still need to have some kind of way to get your prescriptions and talk to a doctor, know that there's a teledoc plan, and it's less than $100 a year, okay? And that's where you can just FaceTime your doctor and talk to them and get a prescription 24/7. Okay, so that is that's available to all of our Wanderpreneur clients. No matter where you go in the world, you'll be able to talk to a doctor. No matter where you are financially, you can be able to afford it. And that is something that I want to get in the hands of a lot of people that don't have health insurance, because that's going to help save them money, because we're all about that net worth. Our mid buy-ins, we have the retirement solutions that I talked about, business solutions, different strategies to build your legacy. One day you need to ask me about, or me or one of the financial coaches, whoever you get to talk to, when you finally decide to start working with a financial coach for free, ask him about the $1 million baby, okay? That is something really cool. Long-term care insurance, that's something else that we do. And then our high buy-in, so that's our group mentorship for business owners that actually want to have some kind of business. We're able to help you out, and we're going to put you in a group, and there's going to be a lot of support in there. We also have virtual assistants, because we're all about wandering more through your dream life. So why not help you with implementing these things in your businesses? So if you need a virtual assistant, like somebody that can help with your marketing online, just with organic marketing kind of stuff, or bookkeeping, or email campaigns, or making any of that kind of stuff, you can have a virtual assistant with us. That's a whole nother line that we have, and that thing's been doing great for our clients. And we also have vacation retreats. Okay, so I've done a few of these and I love them. I love being able to meet my clients and my Wanderpreneur fans. I love being able to meet them in person. I love being able to take them out on a boat. Most of the time, we always have a group that's never been on a big boat before, or even like on a nice vacation, and we totally cater to them and have the best time. We all get to know each other and network, and I'm really excited to start doing those again too. But everything about my business model, I'm obsessed with and I'm in love with, and I cannot wait. And the best part is, no matter what you decide to do with our low, mid, or high buy-ins, when you do business with us, when you're working with a financial coach and you're working and trusting us to help you grow your net worth and everything else like that, we are giving you and your entire family Wanderpreneur School for free. Because when you fix your finances, you're going to want to fund those dreams. And I think there's a stat out there, and it's like over 80% of the people out there want to have their own business, or they want to start a blog, or they want to do something really cool. So we're going to be able to teach that stuff, okay? And this is also going to help your kid too. So if you have a kid that is really creative when it comes to art, this could help them start their own graphic design business. This could help somebody learn about coding different things, okay? Because we all know that online world is not going away. Like, this thing is only going to grow bigger, and we're going to have really cool things. We're not only going to be teaching about the whole money side, we're going to be helping you with the business side. So everybody in your family gets to go to Wanderpreneur School free. We're paying for your lifetime tuition when you do work with a Wanderpreneur coach. And I'm not even just talking about me, because I'm building a team, because again, I'm trying to change some statistics out there. And again, I did an error. I forgot I did that, but that is to remind you, free coaching advice with your finances. And even so, they're all licensed. Okay, so they're licensed in whatever state or whatever Canadian province that they're in. And if you do live overseas, I know that we have a pretty big clientele list up in the UK and stuff like that. You can still talk to us, okay? Just book a call. We still want to help you. We still want to figure out how to help you in your situation. And if the market somehow opens up, or if I find a way for us to be a brokerage on that side too, we will definitely help you with those other services that we cannot provide you at the moment. 6 steps to financial independence. So if you've made it this far, you are definitely having fun. Don't forget about your other homework assignment, but by the end of this, I'm going to want you to screenshot this too. Because if you feel like you're sinking, or if you feel like you're living life on the edge about to fall into the water, then you need to do this, because I'm trying to get you surfing on top of the water, okay? So we're going to talk about the 6 steps to do. That way you're not drowning, you're not sinking, and you're not about to fall in. Cash flow. We have to get you to earn additional income and manage your expenses, or that additional income, like I previously mentioned in the other slides, would be that you look over your statement and see what you have and find that extra money. You look around your house and see what kind of clutter do you actually have, because I'm going to tell you, if you clean your home and you put everything back in order and you don't have all the clutter, you're going to start to notice that your whole mood changes, and the whole behavior system changes too, and you're no longer like hoarding and that kind of stuff and thinking that you constantly have to spend. So it changes your whole mood and everything when you literally just clean your home. Again, kids, go help your parents clean. Emergency fund, number 2. It's a second step here, okay? So we need to save something, and it needs to be for 3 to 6 months to prepare for the unexpected. We need to have some kind of savings account, because we saw the statistic that 70% of us do not have that, and 3 out of 10 people don't. So if you're in the room next time with 10 different people, know that 3 of them do not have anything in the account. That's crazy, okay? Just think of how big your family is, and how big your best friend's family is, or what it's like if you have your grandparents in the room too, or whatever. Those 10 people, there's 3 that have nothing, and that's a problem. So save up money for emergencies. Notice how I did not say a car or a vacation or something else really cool that you want. So again, emergency fund. And just really fast with emergency funds while I'm thinking about it, if you're the kind of person that really has a really bad habit of spending everything, then I want you to also take it one step further and go open an account at another bank on the other side of town that's really inconvenient for you. And don't get a debit card. Don't get any kind of card. Don't even get a checkbook. Don't get anything. The way you have to take money out of that account is you have to actually go to the actual bank, okay? I want you to inconvenience yourself so you don't touch it if you have that big of a spending issue. Why? Because then your emergency fund will be there no matter what kind of fun thing comes along, right? And it won't easily be something that you can just transfer into another account. So put it at a whole nother bank if you do have issues with breaking habits. Number 3, debt management. Consolidate the debt, eliminate the bad debt that I mentioned, right? And so we talked about that. You're already going to go look over things. I already gave you some tips with collections and derogatory. Just call them up and start the negotiation game. And if you end up paying less and getting it taken off your credit report, let me know. I want to know about those wins. Number 4, proper protection. Protect against loss of income and family assets. Okay, so that was like that index account I was talking about. That's about that CVLI, the cash value life insurance, one of my favorite things, because tax advantages, it's always going to grow. And the $1 million baby thing, that is also in this section. So if you were to give me about like $2,500, we could play around with it and see when we can make your kid a millionaire in your lifetime. So number 5, build wealth. Okay, so with this one, we want to beat inflation. We want to reduce taxes, and we want to have professional money management. So most of the time, we always hear about in the government, like, those businesses need to pay more in taxes. That's not nice. That's not cool. That's not this. That's not that. Well, what if all they do is legal things, right? So what if you start making those other legal moves too, and now you're also not doing that? It's all a game. And if you know how to play the game, you're going to win. If you don't know how to play the game, you're taking risk already and you may lose. So we're going to be smart about it and help keep the money in your account, because you're going to be like the 1%. We're going to have habits like the 1%. That way you can go up and you can grow and grow and grow and help your legacy and lead them in the right direction. That way, if anything happens again, your family, they have this. What you leave behind will always be there. And number 5 is preserve wealth, reduce taxation, and build a family legacy, like I was just talking about. So again, you got to teach your kids. You got to teach whoever else is to come. You got to teach your siblings. You have to teach your best friends if you want them to come along in the journey with you and be able to go on those really cool vacations in the Bahamas or wherever in Italy or whatever later on after this whole COVID thing's over with. If you want to be able to do these things with the people that you love and the people that you love spending time with, you got to help teach them too. You can't leave them behind, because this stuff is going to change everything for you, your family, your loved ones, your best friends, your parents, everything. And by the time you're retired, you're not going to be like, okay, this is all I have to live off of, and this is my Social Security check coming in now, and this is my retirement, and yeah, so now I'm just gonna stay at home and try to save as much money as I can. Like, that's not enjoyable. I want you to be able to go to retirement and be like, all right, let's go on that 6-month-long vacation and go eat and fine dine around wherever it is that we want to do, or let's go buy that house on the lake and go fishing every day, or go have this, or do these fun things with our grandkids, like go take them to Disney World every year or whatever. I want you to be able to do those things and not have to struggle, because believe it or not, people that are successful and wealthy, they live longer, they're healthier, and again, they're wealthier. I guess I should have said successful people. Successful people live longer, happier, healthier, and wealthier lifestyles, okay? So just remember that. You have to be successful in physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially to have your dream life work out. Remember that equation that I talked about. And what can our clients and the financial coaches expect? Yes, I am hiring I am not a network marketing company or anything like that. I am Wanderpreneur, and I'm trying to go as big as possible. And if you believe in helping and teaching, and if you think you're going to be one of those people that refers a ton of business to me, I don't want you to refer a bunch of business to my company and not get anything. Like, I mean, that would be cool if you want to help me get more successful, but I'd rather you have a multiple income stream too. And if I can teach you and help pay for your license and have you get those referrals and bring them on, and you just get a referral fee, or maybe you start helping me build Wanderpreneur, then I want you to come work with us too. Okay, so if you are interested by the end of this, like, oh wow, like this is this kind of stuff I like, this is what I'm talking about, Kristi, then let's talk, because there's a big need for this. I think it's like over 1/3 of people that provide these services, they're getting ready to retire. So we're about to be in a shortage in this industry. And I wanted to just say this because we just had 3 million file for unemployment. So if you're one of those people that's looking for a new job and this really excites you, please reach out, okay? But I'm going to show you what our clients and our coaches can expect from Wanderpreneur. So if you're in the US and Canada and you are getting those kind of services, or globally, like this is both. I should have just said clients, I'm sorry. But you get your lifetime financial coach that will never, ever expect you to pay them, okay? So you're gonna get a coach and you are never, ever gonna pay them out of pocket, okay? So you're also gonna get access to the Wanderpreneur School for your entire family, don't forget that, and the ability to invest Wanderpreneur style in all of our accounts, because instead of in the past, I would just refer you to someone else who's pretty much like a sales rep for a company, because they're salespeople, they're not teachers. And we did the teaching, and then we would refer it, they would do the selling, and it would be the easiest sales for them. Well, now that we're teaching you, we're providing you the service, we're cutting all that out, we're able to shop over, I think it's 400, because we're independent financial brokerage now. We're able to shop all these different carriers and provide you with the absolute best account for your certain situation, based on your dreams, based on where you're at right now, your needs, your wants, whatever it is. We're able to shop it to save you time, because again, we want you out there wondering and help you grow the best way possible. We also have Money Matrix, so we want you to master, because it's free. Again, I just want to keep saying it, like, go take the course. And Wander More, their dream life ASAP. Okay, so that is something that our clients can expect. And as for our coaches, our financial coaches, you're going to get mentorship for not only me, but Brentley too, because we have different backgrounds and everything else like that. You're also going to get access to the Wanderpreneur School for your entire family. You're going to get the ability to also invest Wanderpreneur style, and you're going to get one of the best compensation plans for the general health and life insurance industry. So that's what we have, and those are the licenses that we are helping people get. And if you are not currently licensed, that is okay. Again, teacher over here trying to help teach you. And even if you go get your license and you just refer one person, I'm still okay with that, because hello, you just went and you continued your education in this industry to learn even more things beyond what I'm just teaching. So I'm all about that, and I want to just give you the opportunity to go get your license, and we're going to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for your state exam, or your exam in whatever province that you do live in Canada, but we're going to pay for the actual schooling part of it. But you'll have to pay for that. And when you do have your license, because you have to be licensed in this industry no matter what, because we're talking about finances, right? You have to get your fingerprints and a background check. So if you have a bankruptcy, I think it's in the last 7 years, we can't have you work for us. I'm sorry, just wait. Fingerprints and background check, your exam, and your exam is probably about 60, your fingerprints are around 40, your fingerprints, background check, and then your E&O insurance. So that is something that a lot of different people that work with money or big things that affect people's futures, you have to pay some kind of insurance. And so to carry an insurance for a year, I want to say it's around $100 to $150, depending on your E&O coverage. But I want you to be able to do that. And if you have the want and the drive to go further than a general health and life insurance, and you want to go all the way up to be a financial advisor, which if you walk into a bank there's financial advisors there. You would get this license because you have to first, and then you go on and you take another exam and continue your education that way, and we'll also help you with that too along the way, because I'm all about educating people with money and getting Wanderpreneur out there. Okay, so that is what our clients and our financial coaches can expect from Wanderpreneur. And as you can tell, I'm so excited. So are you going to join us or what? Are you ready to join the Wanderpreneur movement? Because we're ready to guide you. So I hope you enjoyed this slide, presentation. There was a lot of slides. Thank you for paying attention, and I hope now that you have gotten an education, my intentions are that you go look over that homework assignment, that you screenshot and you do it. I want you to go find out your break even. I want you to go find that extra money. I want you to also take advantage of those 6 steps that I already told you about. And I also want you, so that's the first one, do the homework, do the 6 steps. Or I shouldn't say do the 6 steps, because that's going to take some time to do, but print them out and put them on your fridge or put them on your mirror, put them wherever you see it every single day, okay? Maybe go create a phone case and put it on the back of it because you have your phone all the time. I don't know, but put it somewhere so you'll know those 6 steps, and get in Money Matrix, okay? It's another free course, just like this presentation. It's packed to the top with all kinds of different value in it, and I want you to go learn even more. And number 4, don't forget to share it, okay? Because we got a lot of people to help. We have 70% of the population that has nothing saved, nothing planned, and they're in a very scary, risky situation, and if they fall, they're gonna fall hard. And because that's the majority of the population, I really want to change that stat, okay? So this is what Wanderpreneur is all about. We're here to make a big impact. We're here to help you wander through your dreams. And we believe in you because we know that you're totally worth your dreams and capable. You're the only authority you need, okay? So change those habits. You have the education. Go apply it. Go take the action. And maybe get your own accountability buddy, right? So maybe your whole family can have a little contest on who can save up the most money, who can come up with the cheapest dinner to put towards the pot of money to go towards a family vacation once all this stuff is over. I don't know, but come up with some kind of fun way. Do it with your best friend. Do it with your spouse. Do it with someone. Just do it, okay? Just take the action. Do it. Let's fix the financial situation you're in. And lastly, don't forget to reach out to us. Email us, call us. We're here for you. We're ready to help you. Okay? Bye. It was so great teaching you. Thanks for coming to class.